Hey guys, it's been a while, and first off, no, this channel and I aren't in a coma still, and secondly, yeah, the second season of Invincible is pretty fucking good. Now, first things first, I know everyone addressed this in their reviews, and yeah, the mid-season delay between episode 4 and then 5 to 8 was really fucking stupid. The show was at an all-time high in excitement and emotion just for Amazon to say, hey, go fuck yourself, viewer, you gotta wait 6 months now because we feel like it. But even with that in mind, the season is still pretty solid, and I'm gonna break down why. First off, the voice acting from the cast is still top notch. It's probably the best aspect of the show. Steven Yeun absolutely kills it as Invincible yet again, and there's honestly never a bad line read from him. Same goes to Omni-Man, Debbie, and Adam Eve, etc. In fact, most of the side characters actually nail their lines, but with such an incredible high, must also come an incredible low. So yeah, unfortunately, the animation isn't that much better than the first season. At times, the characters can feel a little static, or a bit lifeless. The animation feels unfinished, like there's a few frames missing at times. The fights overall feel decent enough, but some clearly had more effort put into the others. And look at X-Men fucking 87, that shit looks way better. And now, let's break down the story. It directly picks up after Mark is finishing up his recovery from the ass beating J.K. Simmons gave him. He reacts very realistically. He often has a lifeless expression on his face at the start. He gets distracted and lost in his thoughts, but he understands what's important and still goes to Cecil and wants to fight and make a difference. And the way Steven plays him perfectly fits a distraught young man not sure what to exactly do next. It's honestly cool to see the difference in most of the Marks. In the beginning, we see an evil Mark teaming up with his dad, and what could have happened if Mark's powers had kicked in sooner, or had his dad convinced him in a more convincing way. Those alternate universe scenes also take time to set up one of the season's villains, Angstrom Levy. A smart guy who wants to combine the alternate versions of himself into one. But while doing so, Invincible, assuming he's evil, tries to stop him. I mean, like, look at this shit. This looks like Doomsday. And Angstrom doesn't listen to Blue Man and takes the hat off, so he becomes evil due to all the other versions hating Mark and wanting revenge on the alternate Marks. But while that's happening, Omni-Man is drifting through space, contemplating his choices, and he genuinely feels deep regret for hurting his son and wife. So much so that Omni-Man actively decides to save a random vessel full of bug people. And he didn't have to pretend to be a fucking hero anymore, he just did it. He even befriends them and becomes their fucking leader, and makes this weird purple Thanos baby. I don't know why he's purple, and his mom's blue, but that's not a big deal. But while all that is great, fucking Amber and Mark are still dating. For most of the season, by the way, which is honestly the only thing about the story that actually bugged me. I read a bit of the comics, so I knew the breakup was coming, so it kind of annoyed me even more with how pointless these romance scenes were. Amber doesn't even feel like the same person anymore. It feels like the writers went, fuck, they hated Amber because she was too mean to Mark. And now she's just always okay with Mark leaving and being a hero now. Like, the reactions are the complete polar fucking opposite. Okay, back to the main plot. Omni-Man sends one of his bug friends to pretend to be a furry to trick Mark into visiting the planet. And Mark does so believing that the planet is in grave danger and wants to help. He soon finds out that his father sent him, and upon discovering this, he instantly wants to leave, but then Omni-Man just drops his new brother on him and tells Mark, if you don't stay and help, a bunch of other Viltrumites will come and fuck up this planet because of me. So then Mark agrees to help and gets absolutely thrashed as usual. Until his dad tells him to stop holding back, and then he beats up an old lady. Good job, Mark. Until Mark decides to be nice and probably gets shanked for it. After that, J. Jonah Jameson gets his spine baned and taken away. Mr. Krabs drops a casual threat, basically saying, hey Mark, you're pretty strong, so if you want to kill some humans, we'll let you roll with us. And obviously, Mark don't fuck with that. So he goes back to Earth and remembers that his father mentioned to read his books. And he soon realizes these are based on real events and could possibly hint at Viltrumite weaknesses. So he calls up Seth Rogen, gives him the information, and soon after that, another Viltrumite arrives, and she's here to check out Mark's progress on preparing Earth for the Viltrumite takeover. And obviously Mark can kill no one, so she beats him up, and my god, this fight does not look very good. Anyways, Mark and Amber finally fucking break up, so peace is finally restored to the universe. And then it wraps up with Mark fighting Angstrom, and holy fuck, why is he going out of his way to torture Debbie? This version of her doesn't even like Omni-Man anymore. But anyways, Mark scraps with him, and yeah, he accidentally fucking kills him. Mark assumed Angstrom was tougher, considering he tore Debbie's arms off so easily. And I mean, fucking look at him. I'd assume he got powers too. Like, if that were me, I would have beat his ass too. Because after Mark ices him, he's stuck in a different dimension, and older versions of the Guardians find him and send him back to his dimension. But older Adam Eve drops a fucking bombshell on him, confessing her love for him, and requests for him to give the younger version of her an answer of either I love you too or I don't. Which, fair. So Mark goes back, but is kind of distraught and still processing everything. And yeah, that's most of the plot of season 2. But just before we wrap up, I want to talk about the side characters. Legitimately, Invincible is one of the few shows where I actually enjoy watching them. In a lot of media similar to this, they normally become obsolete, as in they're significantly weaker than the main characters like in Dragon Ball or Naruto, and while they aren't as strong as Mark, they aren't useless or just wait around for him to do everything. They can still put up a fight and defend themselves. They also actually have fun storylines and personality traits. Debbie is considerably one of the best fictional moms out there. She refuses financial aid from Cecil, knowing that she is fully capable of supporting herself, Mark, and Thanos baby. And she isn't an obnoxious person who just soaks up screen time or annoys the audience. Even Big Mouth is good in this season. He's less of a douche, and he starts realizing that his behavior actually affects the people around him. He even has one of the best fights in the entire season. Even fucking Bobby Hill gets a cool storyline, where he learns to accept that he's more machine than man. So overall, I like the season. It's a lot more serious than the last one, and there's notably less humor, but I think that makes sense considering how the first season ended and how this one picked up. The voice acting is even better, and the side characters get a lot more opportunities to shine. The only things I'm going to really criticize would be the animation, and the Amber romance, and the dumbass mid-season break. For a show with this much potential, they definitely need more animation budget. So overall, 8.5.